Hi everyone, welcome to Chalchitra Talks. I'm Vaani. But before I get into the video, I want to tell you that you can now support us on Patreon and YouTube community. There are three categories that we've created for all of you, and you can support us in either Godfathers, Gladiators, and Goodfellas. Godfathers being the highest, and each category comes with its perks. You can also join us on our various WhatsApp groups that we've dedicated individually to music, books, and movies. Once you become a patron, you can also join us on our streams that we happen to do each week. So do support us if you like our work. And without any delay, I'll get into the book. And this week, I want to recommend to you The Village by the Sea by Anita Desai. Anita Desai is an Indian novelist, and her work, Fire on the Mountain, won her the Sahitya Academy Award. Her book, In Custody, happens to be one of my favorite reads, and Village by the Sea won her the Guardian Award for children's fiction. I was introduced to Village by the Sea when I was in class 7 or 8, and my seniors were reading this book as part of their curriculum at that time. And we had one chapter from this book in our syllabus, and I borrowed a book from my senior because I wanted to finish the entire book. I had already read one chapter, so why not? And it wasn't until the live stream that I do every Thursday, I invited a friend of mine, Sukaran, and we discussed this book, and I realized how badly I wanted to recommend it to all of you. The book is based out of a village near Bombay. It's a fishing village called Thal. And two kids, Leela and Hari, are the protagonists of the book. Leela takes up a job with a rich family to make up for the money because they have an ailing mother, an alcoholic father, and two more siblings to take care of. Hari, meanwhile, runs away to Bombay to find some money, and he leaves behind Leela to take care of the parents and the entire family. And this whole story revolves around Leela and Hari and the two of them growing into adults much before their age. When I read this book, I was 12 or 13, and Hari, the protagonist, is also 12 years old. And at that time, I was living in a very protective shell. And the first layer of the bubble that I was living in was broken because of this book. Because you realize that change is inevitable and you will only have to adapt in order to grow. There is a particular line in the book that goes, "The wheel turns and turns and turns. It never stops and stands still." And I remember having goosebumps when I read this line for the first time. Of course, there is this contrast that you will see between village life and city life throughout the book. The sheltered village life and the laid-back lifestyle of every individual versus the fast city life. And it might even get to you. And you realize globalization is inevitable. It will bring with it salvation of sorts, but it will also have some disadvantages that you're not yet ready to embrace. I skimmed through this book before I recommended it to you, and I realized there are certain complaints I have against the writing. But Anita Desai never lies to you throughout the book. She will present to you this book and the circumstances as they are. Even though this book is a simple young adult fiction, it is very dark. So I had one particular chapter from this book in my course when I was in class 8 maybe. And I will now read out the part to you that actually made me cry in the middle of the class. Hari has run away to Bombay, and this is the first salary he has received from the owner of the place where he works at. And he doesn't have a pen, but there is this watchmaker who he has befriended, and he believes he will have a pen. And he's bought the card, but he needs a pen. So he goes to him, borrows the pen, and he writes to his mother. He says, "Dear mother, I am in Bombay. I have a job and I will bring you my earnings. I hope you are well and I am well as well. Remember me to my sisters." Then he wrote his name in large letters to fill up the space, but not his address, and went off to post it, feeling both happy to have done what he knew he should do, but frightened because this meant he would be staying on in Bombay and not going home. And this is such a wholesome part because he's hopeful of the future now. And if you've read the book until now, you know how practical or realist Hari can be. And you see him be optimistic about the future and after receiving his first salary. And because he's moved to Bombay and he's not liking it at all because it's so far away from home and there's not one person he can truly trust. He also misses home and he's afraid that after this he won't be able to go back home, but he also wants to collect the money and save money for his family so that he can help them get better. So this was my recommendation for the week. I hope you like it, and I will be back again with another recommendation for you next week. But before I go, I also want to tell you that quite recently, in fact last week, we also did a sketch on every Indian Nolan fan ever, and it follows a stereotypical Christopher Nolan fan, and the entire Chalchitra team has put in a lot of efforts, and I've also made my acting debut with the sketch. So do let us know what you feel about the sketch. Give us a feedback. We're always eager to hear it. And do keep on supporting us on Patreon and YouTube community. And I will see you next week.